everyone, welcome back to the Rock at Home Summer Edition. Oh my goodness, you guys, your photos that you sent in this past week for Water Fun were absolutely hilarious. I loved them so much. Okay, so this week's caption is Animal Adventure. So I'm very curious to see what you're going to send in for this week. So make sure to send those in before next Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. Now, before we get into our Bible lesson, we are going to sing a song. This is one of my all-time favorites. So we're going to go sing I'm in the Lord's Army. And you guys better be standing up and doing the actions with me because I get all sweaty and tired every week. So you guys better be standing up and joining me in the actions and singing. Okay, let's go do it. Okay, we're back. What version of that song do you guys like better, the regular one or the cowboy actions? I love the cowboy actions. I think that they're so funny to do. Okay, so before we watch our video of the week with the Bible lesson in it, I need to give you some background information on today's story. So in the city of Jerusalem, there was a pool, and the pool was called the Pool of Bethsaida. And people believed that an angel would come down and they would stir the pool, and then the first person to get in the pool after it had been stirred would be healed of whatever sickness they had. Now, that's not necessarily true, but that's just what the people believed who lived there. So people would gather around the pool in hopes that they would be healed. And so in today's story, Jesus meets a man who's sitting beside the Pool of Bethsaida who was lame. Now, when I say that this man was lame, I don't mean that he wasn't cool. I mean that he wasn't able to walk. When I was a kid, I would hear people talk about the story and they would say that, oh, there was a lame man. And I always thought, that's so mean to call that man lame. But to be lame means that you aren't able to walk. So in today's story, Jesus meets a man who is unable to walk beside the Pool of Bethsaida. Let's watch the video to find out what happens between them.
Jesus went to Jerusalem and stood by the Pool of Bethesda. Many people were at the pool who were blind, lame, or paralyzed. Jesus noticed a man who could not walk. He had been lying there for a long time. Jesus asked him, "Do you want to get well?" The man answered, "Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. Someone else always gets in before me." The man thought if he could get into the water, he would be healed. Jesus told him, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." Right away, the man was miraculously healed.
Wow.
He picked up his mat and started to walk. This happened on the Sabbath, So the Jews told the man who was healed, "It is against the law to pick up your mat on the Sabbath." The man replied, "The man who healed me told me to pick up my mat and walk." "Who was this man?" the Jews asked. But the man who was healed did not know who had healed him. By this time, Jesus had slipped away into the crowd. Later, Jesus found the healed man in the temple. Jesus said to him, "See, you are healed. Do not sin anymore, so that something worse doesn't happen to you." Then the man went to the Jews and told them that Jesus had healed him. So the Jews began persecuting Jesus because he was healing people on the Sabbath. Jesus told the Jews, "My Father is still working, and I am working too." Now the Jews wanted even more to kill Jesus because he wasn't just breaking their rules about the Sabbath. He was saying that God is his Father, making himself equal to God. Jesus is God's Son, and he always did what God said was right. The man at the pool was unable to help himself. Jesus healed him, and he obeyed Jesus' commands. In a similar way, we are unable to free ourselves from sin. Jesus calls us to trust in him. When we trust in Jesus, he frees us from the power of sin and death so we can follow him and obey him.
Okay, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes the Pharisees drive me crazy. I just want to grab them and shake them because they drive me crazy so much. I don't know if you guys feel that way too as you learn about the Pharisees throughout the Gospels. They started persecuting Jesus because he said that he was the Son of God, even though he was the Son of God. Like, I understand where they were coming from, because if you aren't God and you say, "Oh, hey, I'm God," or "I'm the Son of God," that is not good. That's called blasphemy. We should not do that, right? Because we're just human beings. We're not even close to as good as God. So to say that you're God when you're not is a really, really bad thing. And the Pharisees thought that that's what Jesus was doing, but he actually was the Son of God, so he was allowed to say that. But they just didn't believe that, which is so unfortunate. And, you know, they at first were so frustrated and mad that Jesus was healing on the Sabbath, but after a while, I don't think that's really what was bothering them anymore. What was bothering them is that they were jealous of Jesus, because the Pharisees were the religious leaders, right? They were the ones who were supposed to teach people about God and help them in different areas of their spiritual life. But now the people were going to Jesus. They loved Jesus. They went to him with their questions. They went to him to be healed instead of going to the Pharisees anymore. And so the Pharisees became jealous of Jesus, and they wanted to get rid of him because they wanted it to be all about them, which isn't what matters, right? It doesn't matter how people come to God as long as they do. And that's what Jesus did. He didn't care how people came to him. He didn't want all the credit. He just wanted people to know that God loved them and that he loved them, and he just wanted them to turn from their sin and accept God into their life. And that's what he does with this lame man, right? He goes to him, and he cares so much for him. He cares that he is unable to walk, and that would be terrible. Can you imagine not being able to walk? That would not be fun. And so he's sitting beside this pool, and he's wanting to go in and to be healed, but he doesn't have anyone to help him into the pool. And Jesus comes along and he helps him and he heals him. But then he doesn't just leave it there, right? He comes back a little while later and finds that man in the temple, and he tells him, "Sin no longer." And the reason for that is because Jesus cares about our physical life, like our body, and he doesn't want us to be sick or to be hurting or to be ill. But more importantly, he cares about our spiritual life. He cares about where it is that we're going to spend eternity. And so Jesus' goal when he came to the earth wasn't just to heal a bunch of people, because we could have the perfect body. We could be super healthy, like as healthy as possible. We could have no problems in our lives. But that doesn't mean that we've accepted God into our heart. That doesn't mean that we're going to spend eternity in heaven with him. And that's what truly matters. And that's why Jesus came to the earth, is because he cares about our spiritual lives more importantly than our physical life. But he still does care about our physical life. He cares for us. He doesn't want us to have to go through hard times, but sometimes we have to grow closer to him, right? Because if that man who was lame had just grown up and he was able to walk and he lived a great life, he never would have met Jesus probably. He wouldn't have had that interaction with him where he got to experience Jesus's love and his care for him. So it was almost a good thing that he was lame and he couldn't walk, because he had that opportunity to meet Jesus. And sometimes God allows us to go through hard times. Sometimes we get sick. Sometimes we struggle with things. We go through trials. We just go through rough times, and I've gone through a lot of those. And I know sometimes I say, God, why are you allowing me to go through this? But in the end, after I have gone through it, I am so much closer to God, and I've grown in my relationship with him. And I'm actually happy that I went through the tough time, because it allowed me to grow closer to him. And again, it allowed my spiritual life to grow. And that is what is so important. So I hope that when you guys are going through tough times, whether you're sick or you're just going through a tough time or you're struggling with something, whatever it is, we all go through them. I hope that you will remember that Jesus cares about you so much, and that is why he came to the earth to die on a cross to take our place. He didn't have to do that, but he was willing to leave heaven and to leave his heavenly Father, who is perfect. He lived in a perfect place, and he was willing to come down to the earth, which is not perfect at all. Like, the earth would seem terrible compared to heaven, but he was willing to come down because he loves and cares for us so much, and he wants us to be able to enjoy the perfect place of heaven and to enjoy him and God as perfect people and be able to worship them and just spend time with them up in heaven. He wants that, and so that's why he was willing to come down to the earth to die on the cross in our place, so that we could have that spiritual life with him, and that we could just go to heaven one day with him. So I hope that you know that and that you believe that. Thanks again for joining us in The Rock. I look forward to seeing your animal adventure pictures. And just remember that if you ever have any questions, reach out to me, ask your parents, ask someone who you know loves Jesus and loves you and is wise and can answer those questions for you guys. Okay, love getting to do this each week with you. I will see you next week. Bye.